NASCAR Cup Series race is officially concluded from Texas Motor Speedway, and we see Chase Elliott finally go back to victory lane for the first time in over a year. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to your video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Texas Motor Speedway, the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about. So there was a lot of cautions and a lot of wrecks that took place. Let's first jump to the final restarts of the race, coming to 2 to 3 laps to go in the final restart. So on the final restart, you had Chase Elliott on the inside and you had Ross Chastain on the outside. And they both battled really, really hard, side by side, going to victory. And they were battling really, really hard up front, and eventually Chase Elliott was able to clear Ross Chastain for the race lead in turn number 3. And Chase Elliott got the great run and started pulling away, coming to the white flag. As he went into turn number 1, Chase Elliott was able to clear. But going down the back straightaway, Ross Chastain just got out of throttle for whatever reason, crashed his car because William Byron sadly got into him, and unfortunately Ross Chastain hit the outside wall really hard, bringing the final caution out. This would lead Chase Elliott to pick up his first win in 42 or 43 races and pick up his first win of the 2024 season. An absolute huge win and a big momentum booster for Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, it's no secret, has had a rough last year and a half, and I've been a Chase Elliott fan for a very, very long time. And I've been waiting for the day for Chase Elliott to finally go back to victory lane. And the last couple weeks, I feel like this 9 team hasn't really showing the pace and speed to be up front. They had a great car, Circuit Americas, got that penalty for the course-cutting penalty, which I don't think they should have gotten. They were really, really good at Richmond, got a top 5 there. They had a top 5 car, Monza, were in position to win the race, and today they're finally back in victory lane. Because like I said, last year was a really rough year for Chase Elliott fans, and now Chase Elliott fans have something to celebrate. It's a big win for this 9 team. They were in position all day. I think Chase Elliott definitely had one of the fastest cars. They also played a really good strategy early in stage 1, which really helped them. That caution really helped them get back up front, but they never fell outside the top 10 in most of the rest of the day, and they put themselves in position, and they led a lot of laps at the end, and Chase Elliott finally picks up his first win in a very long time. I am so stoked for Chase Elliott. It's been a long time. He deserves this win. He was in the right position at the right time. He gets the victory and the win. Congratulations to Chase Elliott on finally going to victory lane and getting the win and the race. So now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give my score and thoughts on today's race because I got a lot more to talk about from this race. So Chase Elliott picks up the victory. Brad Keselowski finishes in second. Brad Keselowski, I thought was going to win this race on that last long green flag run. They played a really good strategy. They struggled early in this race, but they made that car a lot better at the end, and they were able to pick up a second place finish while not picking up the win today, finishing second. A great momentum and confidence booster for the 6 team going forward. Great run for them in second place. William Byron finishes third, another top 5 for the 24 team. They never had the outright the best car all day, but they were in position and were in the top 10 in the majority of the race, and they get a very respectful third place finish. Great run for William Byron. Tyler Reddick finishes 4th. Great run for Tyler Reddick today. Unfortunately, I think the pit crew cost him, and they were in a really good position to win. The pit crew put him in a bad position. They almost got in the outside wall at the end. I thought Tyler Reddick was going to run away with this win because he was in good position to get it done. They had that bad pit stop, but he still comes back and finishes in the top 5. Still a really good day for Tyler Reddick in 4th, and he got a lot of points. Daniel Suarez finishes 5th. His best finish in a long time since Atlanta. His first top 5 outside of his super speedway. He ran top 10 near the end. The race was struggling early, but they made that car better, and he maintained his track position and finishes 5th. Great run for Daniel Suarez. Chase Briscoe finishes 6th. Chase Briscoe got involved in an incident with Bubba Wallace about halfway through this race. I think at the start of stage number 3 or at the end of stage number 2. Chase Briscoe, though, comes back and finishes in the top 10. He ran top 10 a majority of the day in this race to finish in 6th. That is still a really good day for the 14 team, all things considered. Austin Dillon finishes 7th, a really good confidence booster for the 3 team. They have struggled for the most part this year, so good to see Austin Dillon finish inside the top 10 in 7th place. Bubba Wallace finishes 8th, a great comeback for this 23 team. Coming into this race, they were my pick to win, simply because of the fact that I expected Bubba Wallace to be up front contending for the win all day. They never had the outright speed to go for the victory, but they had a top 10 car, were up to second at one point. Then they spun out, but they were slowly and gradually making their way back up to the front, and Bubba Wallace gets another top 10. I'm telling you, he is going to win a race sometime this year. He's been showing some pace and speed, led some laps today as well. 8th place is a very solid run. Kyle Busch finishes 9th. For a guy that was terrible in practice, struggled early in this race, and 1.8 lap down to come back and finish inside the top 10, that tells you how chaotic and crazy this race is. Kyle Busch finishes in 9th. Really good day for the 8 team. And Carson Osbar gets a top 10. I think that's his first top 10 maybe of the season so far. So good to see Carson Osbar finish inside the top 10. He was quiet most of the day, ran top 20 a lot of data, played some strategy, and gets a solid top 10 finish. Joey Logano finished 11th, a decent day for them, struggled early, but they were able to play a little strategy. They never got back up front, though, but they do finish 11th, decent day for them. Ryan Preece finishes 12th. They started off bad. They made that car better, though, and he does get a solid top 15. Ty Gibbs finished 13th. They struggled a lot of the day today, unfortunately. They played some strategy to try to get up front. Ty Gibbs had probably one of the fastest cars early. They had the issues with the lug nuts. They had issues with the tire, the gun that basically puts the tires in. They struggled on that front. They still do get a top 15, all things considered, but unfortunately today could have been a lot better for them. Mark Truex Jr. finishes 14th. A great recovery for a driver who has at one point a lap or 2 laps down. They were able to get back inside the top 15. Mark Truex Jr. the last couple weeks has seemed to be struggling a bit. They haven't had the speed to contend for victories, and it just feels like the 19 teams been falling apart a little bit. That's something a little concerning for a team that was up front early in the year. They haven't had good races recently. They do finish 14th. Ty Dillon finishes 15th. Decent day for Ty Dillon, all things considered. I mean, for a guy that was right and qualified near the back of the pack, decent day for them to get a top 15, though they did get helped by a lot of attrition. Noah Gragson finishes 16th, decent top 20 run. They ran top 20 a majority of the day, so they legitimately ran top 20 and gets 16th. Decent day for them. Dale Hemrick finishes in 17th. Chris Buescher finished 18th. I think he was involved in a couple incidents throughout the day, but he still recovers, finished inside the top 20. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 19th. He was a menace on the racetrack a lot of this race. He was involved in a lot of incidents and a lot of wrecks, but he does get a top 20 nonetheless in 19th. And Kyle Larson somehow finishes in 20th. Kyle Larson had a roller coaster day. I think he had the fastest car, no doubt. He dominated early, led 78 laps of this race, and I think he ended up leading the most laps altogether. Unfortunately, though, for Kyle Larson, on lap 106 or 107, he had a tire go off. And this opened up the race for pretty much everybody at that point once Kyle Larson's tire came out. Because I think Kyle Larson was going to run away with this race. And he was slowly making his way up front. Then at the end, he spun out, but he does recover, at least get a top 20. So all things considered, 20th with how chaotic his day was, I think he'll take a 20th place finish. Kaz Grall finished 21st. Eric Jones finishes 22nd. Chris Bell finished 23rd. He crashed about 100 laps in the race with Alex Bowman and John Hunter Nemechek. He basically was in a good position, was one of the fastest cars early. Unfortunately, got caught up in some incidents and wrecks. He finished 23rd. It feels like this 20 team has been floundering a little bit as well. Zane Smith finished 24th. Want to give him a shout out because he ran top 5 and top 10 in the later portion of this race. They just had some bad strategy at the end to cost him a shot, but they do finish 24th. At least they do get a top 25 finish. Corey LaJoie finishes in 25th. Jimmy Johnson finished 26th. Good to see Jimmy back. He spun early, but hey, he finished on the lead lap, and he does get a 26th place finish. His first lead lap finish, by the way, in the next-gen era. At least Jimmy did get a top 30 today. I think his next race is Dover, if I'm not mistaken, in a couple weeks. 26 is not a bad day, all things considered, even though spinning. Austin Cindric finished 27th. Justin Haley finishes 28th. Harrison Burke finished 29th. I want to give him a shout out a little bit. It's been a struggling year for the driver of the 21 car. I know he spun out late, but he was up front for about 10 or 15 laps. Then the car faded. He did get some stage points today. He does get another top 30 finishes. Now only his third finish above 30th so far this year. It's a shame they didn't have the pace or speed to stay up front. But hey, a top 30 run is not that bad, all things considered. But unfortunately, Kaz Grall spun out near the end of the race. Denny Hamlin finishes 30th. Denny Hamlin had a way better car than that. He was a top 5 car most of the day. Unfortunately, Denny Hamlin spun out, battling Chase Elliott for the win. Let's go to that for a second. Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin were battling really hard for the win. It was going to be one of those two most likely going to victory lane. Chase Elliott might have gotten Hamlin a little air loose, but I don't think Chase Elliott ever touched him. It just looked like Hamlin maybe just got a little bit air loose behind Chase Elliott, and he sadly spun out. It's a shame because Denny Hamlin's had a lot of speed this year. Just a disappointing finish overall for Denny Hamlin, who finishes 30th. Todd Gillen finished 31st. Ross Chastain finished 32nd. He crashed on the last lap of the race. Apparently, Ross was not happy after the race. Speaking to reporters, he basically declined to comment about the incident. I get Ross Chastain being a little upset about that, but it was Chastain's fault, unfortunately. But he had a really good car. He was up front contending for the victory at the end. Ran top 10 most of the day. Did get some stage points, which will help him for sure. But again, he does finish 32nd. Ryan Blaney finished 33rd. He unfortunately crashed about 75 to 80 laps to go in this race, and there were a lot of wrecks and incidents that were happening. He does finish 33rd, which is really disappointing for the driver of the 12 car. He was potentially going to have a top 5 run. Unfortunately, his day basically got cut short. John Nemechek finished 34th. He crashed out with about 50 laps to go, or 30 laps to go technically. This is where all the chaos at the end started. John Nemechek unfortunately just wrecked going into turn number 3. No contact with anybody. Was battling a bunch of cars for around 20th position. I don't think he'd come down pit road at the time. He finishes 34th. Michael McDowell finished 35th. He was actually battling for the lead with Ross Chastain at the middle portion of stage number 2, but sadly Michael McDowell backed it hard into the outside wall. Tough break for a driver who was running in the top 5 at that point. A really disappointing day for the driver of the 34 car in 35th. Josh Berry finished 36th. He had multiple incidents in wrecks. He wrecked about 100 laps in the race, and then he wrecked again a little bit later. He finishes 36th. Really disappointing day for the driver of the 4 car. Alex Bowman finished 37th. Like I mentioned with the Christopher Bell crash, Alex Bowman got wrecked hard and basically got ARCA braked by John Hunter Nemechek. That's what happened to Alex Bowman. He was actually having a decent day, all things considered. Unfortunately, probably his worst finish of the year so far, which is disappointing considering I feel like Alex Bowman has had some good pace and speed this year. And Austin Hill finishes last in 38th after falling out of the race due to an electrical fire. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole. I'm going to be real with y'all. I did not enjoy this race. Granted, there were some good moments for sure, and he had a decent finish overall. But when you're having wrecks every 2 or 3 laps, it can become very hard to watch. There were 16 cautions, including the caution that came out on the last lap of the race, which I believe is a record for Texas Motor Speedway, not just in the next-gen era, but for this track overall altogether. That was really, really hard to watch, in my opinion. I think that might be the most wrecks in the next-gen era outside of the Coke 600 in 2022. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's the record. And keep in mind, this race was 400 miles. This track, in my opinion, is not very good. I did praise the Xfinity Series race yesterday, but I even said it in the race review. I don't think this track is that good. There wasn't a lot of passing, and if you try to pass somebody, you more than likely were going to wreck. We saw so many crashes, so many wrecks in this race, which made it very interesting and very chaotic. I'll give you this. It was very chaotic, and it made it at least somewhat watchable times. But when you're wrecking 4 or 5 laps into a run, and you can't get a long green flag run going, it becomes very hard to watch, and you just, at that point, were wondering, is this race ever going to end? You know, you're wondering if the race is finally going to end, but I think it did finally come to an end, and I think it's a good outcome for the fans. Chase Elliott getting the win, I think, will make the Jeff Gluck poll especially be a little bit lopsided when we do go rate that poll. But outside of that, I really didn't enjoy this race overall. I know a lot of people were praising this race on social media, which I didn't really understand, because when you're wrecking and you can't really go side by side and it's really difficult to pass, what is there being? And once we did get these long green flag runs, there was not a lot of passing. And the only reason there was even any sort of passing is because drivers were on different tire strategies, which, by the way, at least passing did matter, unlike Martinsville last week. So if I had to say which race was better, I do think Texas was a little better than Martinsville. It wasn't great, though, in my opinion. I think it was very, very unwatchable at points. So I am going to give the race today overall, score-wise, I'm going to give this race I'll give this race maybe a 5.5 out of 10. Again, I think this race is better than Martinsville. I will say that, but outside of that, I think this is definitely the second worst race of the year. It was my least favorite race at Texas outside of the 2022 one in the next-gen era. I did not enjoy this race overall. I know the restarts were entertaining at points, but if the restarts only get a portion of the race, that does not make a good race, in my honest opinion. And now to transition to talk about Fox Sports. I bet you my race enjoyment would have been a lot better if Fox Sports did a much better job on their coverage. Goodness gracious, Fox today was absolutely horrendous. So many missed wrecks, so many commercials in this race. We missed almost half the wrecks today under commercial. We went side by side with like 17 laps to go or something like that, and we just missed a lot of portions. At one point, they had Annie's frozen custard. You miss multiple wrecks and incidents, but you can catch them eating Annie's frozen custard in the booth? Like, what are we doing here, y'all? we should be doing a lot better than this. And again, it was very unwatchable points today. And again, I know that people are going to say I'm being overcritical of the Fox Sports booth, and it is completely understandable, but the Fox Sports booth, I praised early in the year. I think they had a lot of good moments early in the season, but I feel like the Fox Sports booth has been fading quite a bit, and I think that made the race and the broadcast really enjoyable. And I'm going to say this, there's probably going to be a video talking about the Fox Sports broadcast probably later this week, because I just got a lot of things I want to say and get off my chest, because right now I thought the Fox broadcast was not that good overall, in my honest opinion. So, that is going to be it for tonight's NASCAR Cup Series race review from Texas Motor Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Let's go more of that and comment your thoughts below on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Chase Elliott on picking up the victory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. Then on Tuesday, we're going to have the entry list video for the Cup Series race at Talladega, and we might have an SHR video dropping, but I'm not entirely sure at this point. And I might have a Fox Sports video dropping here relatively soon. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.